it's Angela from Create for Living. I'm here with a plan with me for July using a jellyfish theme, and this time I'm in my Wordsworth Planner that Wordsworth and Black was kind enough to send to me to have a look at and try just in time for the second half of the year. I really love this peachy colour and I wanted to use that as a predominant part of my theme for my setup this month. So the Wordsworth Planner, if you've seen my previous unboxing video, already has the monthly setup there, so all I'm doing is adding colour, and I did do a pen and watercolour test in my previous video, so do have a look in there. I discovered that Wordsworth Planner is fine as long as I don't use a lot of water. Any places that get too wet will bleed through. So I'm using a water pen, and when I did the jellyfish I just used a Crayola on that little pockets with a little bit of water and used that kind of as a watercolour. And now I'm just using actual watercolour for the blues all the way around the sides, just to give the kind of watery look. I will do a lot more with that, going over with pen and making bubbles and eventually gold bubbles later on. So that's just sort of the start of that. But I love the way the jellyfish look at the background, and I've just written in July, and of course I've written in all the days for the monthly, and you can see there I've put the little bubbles around in blue as well. Right, so now I'm thinking about the front cover of the monthly, and so I've decided to use the title page for the monthly pages, and I'm just using a little bit of paper. So this is not actually watercolor paper, I'm using just normal paper, and again I've just put a little bit of that Crayola pen onto a little piece of a ruler, and then using the water pen I've got the watercolor effect, and now I'm just grabbing a whole bunch of blues and purples and trying to build up color. You can see the paper's not holding up too well to this. I probably should have used watercolor paper, but I just grabbed any scrap paper I had lying around, and I'm just trying to build up quite a deep color in the background because I know that I want to go over that with some gel pens and metallic pens, and so I know that I want that to be a dark color so that those pens will show up. And then I'm just trying to show the blue behind the jellyfish so it gives them the kind of translucent color. So I'm still just building up the background with this watercolor. Because I wanted to use so much water for this background to create the really deep water look, I knew that I couldn't do this straight into my Wordsworth Planner because too much water would bleed through. Even though they're 120 gram paper, it would just be a little bit too much. So I'm now just starting to go over the Stabilo pen, putting a little bit of the detail in the jellyfish, just really loose squiggly lines. They kind of have these tentacles that go everywhere and look like they just float around, so just been really unclear on that. Used a bit of the actual Crayola pen. You can see that's a lot darker, so just for a few details. And then I'm just starting to use these metallic, this is just a cheap set I got from Tesco, metallic gel pens, and I'm just drawing lines around where the watercolor lines have kind of gone, and just doing sort of diagonal lines or different patterns. And then the pink metallic I decided to add a little bit into the jellyfish so that they don't lack the metallic shine to them as well. And then just using the greens and the blues and the purples and the golds. It doesn't show up too well in this, but I'm really just making lots and lots of horizontal wavy lines, and then filling them in with diagonal patterns or polka dots or different kinds of things, so it gives this kind of patterny look in the background, which I really like, which is kind of the theme that I'm using at the moment, the sort of water with the pattern in it. And then I'm just writing the word July, and that's going to be stuck in the front on that on the monthly page, title page. I'm a little sad to cover up those beautiful purple dots and things, but I want to kind of personalize this journal. So I've got this lovely washi that's one of my favorites. I think I got it from Poundland, so it was really cheap, but it is one that I just keep going to and I'll be using throughout this theme. And I'm just literally washi taping that on, and because I didn't use watercolor paper, I used really thin paper for painting that cover page. It really doesn't add any bulk to my journal. It adds a slight little bit, but in a way that kind of demarcates the page, so I thought that's a really great way to add the art in without it being too long a setup, and I don't have to worry about drawing monthlies and things because that's all there. And now I'm just adding some gold circles, so I got that metallic going through the sort of faux washi bubbles around the outside of my monthly page. So I really love how this turned up. I was surprised how much I enjoyed this when I'm so used to doing pages completely from scratch and having already drawn planner. And then you can see I already started using this page, but this is the weekly, which is already set up, and I was trying to think how could I add my own kind of personality to this. So I've just added the color themes in there with the Crayola pen and a little bit of the same blue from the watercolor, just on the priorities and the urgent area. The other things that I need to do, and I'm just coloring in the reflection section and I'm grateful for section, adding a little bit of color throughout. And I like how I can kind of use the page and just add to it as I'm using it, because you might find sometimes you want to write things for 3 weeks in advance, but because you haven't set up those pages yet, you don't get to do that when you're setting up each week. So I like the pages already set up. And then this trick I've used quite a few times before when I use washi. I tend to shred it into thin little strips and put it around so it gets more of a kind of scrapbook look. And so I'm just using that effect to fit it in, because it is quite a fine line around the sides. I wouldn't be able to fit the full tape of the washi, but I really love how this washi added to this page and personalized it. So I think my washi stash, which hasn't got much use in recent years, is going to be pulled out quite a bit for the next 6 months as I work through this planner. So this will just be my sort of weekly spreads with my priority lists and my goals and my monthlies, and then I think I'll still use my bullet journal if I have any really big collections, like I'm busy doing packing lists and things like that, projects stuff. So just putting the stickers in the back, and still just having a bit of a play with this. And I really love how this all turned out. So that's my full setup for the monthly. I did just want to show you how the stickers will go with the theme. So I didn't show those in my last video, but they're really fantastic. I think I will be using those a lot. And it's great that they just came with the planner. Real bonus. So tell me what you think, and I hope you enjoyed a plan with me, a bit of a difference in this Wordsworth planner. Links are in the description if you want to buy one. Alright.